The topics we discuss are many.
No story too bold to talk about.
Strictly our own opinions.
But they are opinions from people like you.
Welcome to the Naked Podcast. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfuckers, it's Norma.
That was intense. This is Ethan.
It's your DM tech guy, Alan.
Who's binge watching The Proud Family on Disney Plus? This girl. Hey guys, it's the Naked Podcast.
Who's that girl?
It's Kielyn.
Cute.
I like it. I almost lost my DM hat there.
Oh no.
Just so everybody knows, Alan is now sporting his DM magic hat.
It looks rather fetching.
Thank you. Thank you.
Stop trying to get... Or what?
Fetch.
Fetch. Yeah, that's
Hey.
what I thought. That's why
Hey.
I was going for it, too.
Fetching is legitimately a word, though.
Yeah. Means I look good.
It's not going to happen, okay?
No. It means I look good, motherfucker.
That makes sense why it's British slang. Because they always say fetching.
Yeah.
Light bulb.
I never put that together.
Guys, I think Kielyn just
So
earned
everybody,
her
welcome to
knowledge
the-
proficiency.
Welcome to the Naked Podcast, everybody.
Wait. Where's your face mask?
Can we quarantine her, please?
I'm pretty certain we can. We can run the cables to that room.
Guys, I don't have the coronavirus.
You said that last
Not
time. You said last time you didn't have the flu, but you ended up having the flu.
Excuse you, that was allergies. Blue.
That was really good. Well, apparently coronavirus is ramping up, guys.
Oh shit.
Over 2,000 deaths have been reported, and 126 of those are newer cases in China.
That's crazy.
What about the new cases in Korea?
Yeah, I've heard about that. So apparently there are 31 cases in Korea.
South Korea.
South Korea. Yeah, I guess we wouldn't know about North Korea.
If you ask Kim Jong-un, he's going to say that there's no sickness here.
Well, okay, just so you know, he's probably one of our number one fans, all right? He loves Dennis Rodman. I don't know why he wouldn't love us.
Sometimes we also feel like plastic bags floating through the wind.
I say, didn't he love the interview? Or he hated
He
it?
hated it.
He hated it.
They wanted it to.
Yeah, they banned it.
That's why they ended up releasing it on Netflix rather than releasing it in theaters.
Yeah.
I'm so glad they did. Can they start doing that with new movies? Just release it straight to my home?
Oh, they're getting there.
Yeah.
I think Disney Plus will be that way. But,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know who's not suffering from the coronavirus? Disney Plus.
Shortest topic ever.
Well, that was your update.
Anyway.
Since Marco will no longer be here to do choo choo.
Damn, Bus and Marco.
Wow.
Yeah, so anyway, those cases in Korea, they're pretty interesting because there's cases where the people who are infected haven't come into contact with those who have been infected.
There's one thing that I learned from Plague Inc. is that infection can spread wildly within a country. But I don't know, like, people are saying that there are news articles stating that the coronavirus is already moving on to its next phase of its life. We don't even know if that's water or airborne. And I tried doing a little bit of like Google searching to research exactly how long.
Google's killing it. Like
Yeah.
Google and YouTube especially are really... If you make a coronavirus movie or video and try to monetize it, they're demonetizing them right now to stop the spread of fake news that's hindering.
How is it fake news if it's real?
Yeah.
So, I mean, the reason that I searched it, Googled it, whatever, what have you, is to find out exactly like how long a specific infection or virus or what have you can last in the air, because everything has a timeline as to how long it can survive without a suitable host.
I think some of this is also the 9 million that got out before it closed down. You know, they had to have spread
Definitely.
it somehow.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's really crazy to see how it's already evolving.
So, like, if you watch the videos that are always tweeted out before they're blocked, like, some of them are kind of scary. Like, they're literally walking down the street, and you just see, like, body bags at the front of each door. It's not a good comparison, but I thought of Monty Python bring out your dad. And the guy's rolling a cart down the street. Like, it literally looked like that. And I was like, wow.
There's also a lot of drama going around, like the coronavirus. So recently,
So it's COVID-19 now is the name of it.
Oh, yeah.
oh, COVID-19. There's a lot of drama going on around with it. There was a Harvard professor who was the engineer for biochemistry of Harvard. He was arrested because he was receiving payments from China. So he got a $50K payment, and he's received millions already to set up like a biochemical lab in China. His current stipulation with the government is that he's not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
They also arrested 2 other people, one of which was smuggling vials into China, and it's unknown what those substances are.
Weren't one... So it was $50,000 a month, and it was from the Wuhan Institute of Technology, if I recall correctly. And wasn't one of those people... Weren't they already in China, and the United States government was trying to extradite them to charge them?
I don't know.
I remember reading through the article that you sent us, and I remember those 2 things.
Okay,
but they
look it
didn't-
up and check.
Okay.
So, but, you know, tinfoil hat time, like, I still think that this is an escaped bioweapon with everything that's been coming out lately.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying, like, they're 100% sure almost that this was a bioweapon that escaped. I mean, come on. The food mart was like 300 yards away from the biolab. Really?
Mm-hmm.
You telling me, like, that's a safe place to put a food mart?
Or
Yes.
a biolab.
Yeah, right.
Right.
It's also especially scary for us who live here in South Texas. So they had exported some people from China directly to Lackland Air Force Base
Well, they were,
for a quarantine.
yeah, well, most of them came from the Princess Diamond cruise ship, right?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet?
Those ones
Not
haven't
yet.
come yet.
So, yeah, the Princess Diamond, they're landing in California. They're going to go through another screening, and then they'll be brought in to the Air Force Base.
Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, I actually saw something about it at work. Through, like, we have like TVs at work that are always playing news and such, and there was a couple. The gentleman that they had just gotten married. They went on their honeymoon, and they've been stuck on this ship for like a minute. Like, one of them's a nurse, the other one's a physical therapist, and like their jobs have been very, very lenient about it and very understanding. But can you imagine everyone else, like, who have family?
I can only
And
imagine
work.
any employer would have to be reasonable, like reasonably understanding of this is major, this is a global crisis. Take the time that you need.
I honestly think that next week is going to be the turning point because
Why?
that cruise ship is out of China. No,
Yeah.
it's in Japan. It's open to the world. And the number of people getting sick are just exponentially growing every day. So
On the cruise ship?
On the cruise ship. So, I mean, they're almost reporting like 100 cases a day almost.
Mm-hmm.
And there's only 3,300 people on the ship.
They're probably using recycled water, recycled air.
So how long before people start dropping dead on the cruise ship? That's going to actually tell us how bad this virus is because I don't really trust anything China's been saying yet.
Yeah, no, I don't trust a single thing that they've said.
Especially now that's being brought into U.S. custody.
I did find it in the quick descriptions of the 3. One was a Harvard professor. The other 2 were Chinese. They're part of something called CLA. One of them is in China.
So were they trying to extradite him?
Extradite her, yes. They're trying to extradite her, but she's in China.
Oh, she's the one that lied about being a student, but she was really
Yeah.
a military leader.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. The other one was trying to sneak the vials out. They caught
Yeah.
him at the
I'm
airport.
totally sure that
Out or
this is
in?
Out to China.
Oh, okay.
yeah, bioweapon. I'm sure I read that.
Honestly, if it was a bioweapon and if this backfired on China, honestly, and I'm going to speak very, very frankly about it, they fucking deserve it.
Okay, so
whoa.
Very extremist of me,
Hold on.
I know.
No, but think about it. Like, tinfoil hat time. My first thought was like, I wouldn't put it past China to distract from the protests that are going on. But at the same time, this hurts China a lot. There's people who don't want to buy goods that were made in China because of the fear of this virus. So this is going to hurt China's export really bad.
Well, and maybe it started out that way as a distraction, but since it's grown and it's exploded, and maybe they just got out of their hands, and they're like, "Oh, fuck."
I definitely
Could
think
be.
they were looking for a distraction, but I don't think this was it. I honestly think this was mistakenly escaped, which is even worse, I think, because if they the only reason I think that is if they did release it, they would have had a cure, so they would have been the heroes. They're not being the heroes. They're panicking right now.
Yeah, especially by lying to everyone else as to what their numbers actually are. They say it's like 31,000 people infected in China alone, but is that really how many people?
I think there's that many dead already.
I think so too. China's
Like
is
real
just
numbers?
China's just like Soviet Russia, where they hide everything. It's all propaganda. It's all like
Yeah,
shoved
it's
under
all
the
state
covers.
TV.
Exactly.
But, like we're really going to see that now this is coming to other countries. Ethan, you had mentioned this in the previous conversation. We're going to have freedom of information and be able to find out just how bad this is.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to do, but I do know that we're taking precautions. So stocking up on some supplies, some medications. I mean, we don't know how long this is going to last or how bad it's going to get.
So, yeah, because right now in Beijing, you are not allowed to leave your house. You have one person from your household can register, and they can leave almost every 2 days to get supplies and come straight back. That's it. That's the only way you're leaving your house.
There are companies in China who are more like, what's the term I'm looking for? Very, very quickly moving to just working from home. Work from home, do what you can, don't come in, don't leave.
Yeah.
They went from protests in the street to the economy just dying.
Oh, it's a wrecking ball at the moment to their economy, and I don't, like you were saying earlier, I don't think they're going to get past the stigma for a while, because I know I've gotten emails at work about, hey, if you need stuff from us, you need to think ahead, because everything coming in is being quarantined 14 days.
So I'm gonna piggy off of that. I understand what you're getting at, because I ordered a Lexar micro SD card. And I know we talked about it earlier, off the mic, but I want to talk about it on the mic. I found out that Lexar is owned by a Chinese company, and I had to deal with them and Amazon trying to figure out exactly how I'm going to get a replacement memory card. Well, they told me we can't send you a replacement out right now, but what we can do is offer a refund so that you can go and purchase another one.
This really makes me want to. I feel like it's going to really push the American-made product, movement. It's just kind of. Why do we have to rely on these companies to either cheaply make some things, and now we're going to possibly face a shortage because people are getting sick and dying over there?
Yeah.
This is going to affect the tech industry as it is. Microprocessing science, it's all over there. It's in Taiwan. It's lost to us.
Well, not to mention, for example, the Switch just recently came out with a new Switch Lite color. And all the comments that I saw on that thread were, how is the production of this figured out already? Because it's all in China.
Well, Nintendo is pretty good about keeping their production in Japan as opposed to outsourcing.
But I
to
mean,
China,
that's the point. The point is that there's so many things that are coming out. I mean, think about retailers. Retailers, they have their clothes made in China, Taiwan, Mexico, Vietnam,
Yeah, and they show pictures of the shipping lanes of Taiwan, and it's just dead stop. You see hundreds of ships just parked off waiting.
I don't know. I think it's gonna hurt our economy too.
Oh yeah, we're gonna feel it, but I think we've shifted enough that we have American alternatives, more or less. Mm-hmm. Most people just go with the cheaper one that's made in China.
Yeah.
So I see us. It's going to hurt us, but not in a bad way. I think it's going to push more money into our economy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is just we're going to take that dip, but then we're just going to skyrocket once we get everything figured out.
I don't know. Well, we'll have to see. Because think about poorer communities. Poorer communities cannot afford, a pricier object just because it's made in America or made in another place besides China. The allure from China and why so many companies have factories there is because it's so cheap.
Yeah.
Well, it's because they have a surplus of labor. So I think when you get into the supply and demand, if there's more of a demand for American goods, the supply will increase. Thus, the price will go down.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Eventually.
We'll just have to
and
do
that's what I'm saying. I think it's going to hurt for a little bit, but overall, it's going to drive a lot more money into our economy. And I think that's what's going to fund small towns and stuff, where they need the money.
I know he joked about needing a new plague. I didn't think they'd be serious about it.
I didn't think so either.
Well, I guess the professor thought that, well, I mean, I'm already making $150,000 off this grant. Let me make another extra $50,000 a month.
And then millions on top of it.
Fuck yeah.
So, wait, did Dwight say we need a new plague before or after he went to Tallahassee?
Before,
right?
Before.
So, what's going to happen in Tallahassee pretty soon?
I don't know, but Florida is fucked. And I'm from Florida. Like, I was born in Florida, and I normally don't claim that.
I wonder if Florida man's
I
going to do
know,
something
usually
special.
you claim comfort.
Comfort. Yeah, that's where I grew up.
Comfort.
But no, Florida has its whole work cut out for itself. Did you guys see what happened in the news recently about the Baker's Act?
Yeah, where
Oh my god.
they literally arrested a little girl, a 6-year-old girl, because she was having a tantrum. It's like, come on, call their parents, send them home, and tell
Give
them.
them a whooping.
Yeah. Most of this comes down to, like, kids can be a little out of control, and sometimes they just need a little whooping.
But the teacher should have put her foot down.
Yeah.
Not call the fucking cops.
Yeah, calling the cops on a 6-year-old girl just...
It's extreme.
It's like way above the extreme. It's
But this just plays into my fear of having children and putting them in public school, because I know what I went through, and I was like, I can't. And seeing what they go through now, I was like, wow. Like,
I know.
So, hold on, let's back it up. So, Baker's Act, like for people who don't know, so how would you describe Baker's Act?
Baker's Act says that any individual who is in public and has the potential of harming oneself or others can be taken for a 72-hour mental hold.
And it's involuntary.
Involuntary, yeah.
And they enacted that on a 6-year-old child.
Well, so just Florida alone in the last year, or in 2019, had over 30,000 children arrested. So that's under 16.
What the fuck, really?
Yeah.
Why are police taking these children away? Why aren't they being taken to a nurse and then a doctor?
Because they're not going to call a doctor. Because according to everyone, mental health is just people whining about bullshit.
But why
So-
should the school have that capability?
They shouldn't.
They should. So all this comes down to is people in Florida have gotten to the point where it's not my problem. Like, call the cops. They can deal with this kid. It's not my problem. I'm going to do my job.
What real help are these children getting?
Exactly.
I wouldn't think any because, they talk back to a teacher. Kids say the stupidest things, and half the time they're threats because they've heard a threat, they know somebody gets scared, so they're going to try to use it themselves. And then they're taken away in cuffs. The parents aren't notified. She doesn't get to see her mom. She doesn't get to talk to her dad. It's just, it doesn't make any sense why they feel like they have to go to this extreme. Are they that scared of a 6-year-old child?
They're scared of being liable. So
That's true.
this is something that happened to me, so it's kind of a personal story. I have ADHD. I know that sometimes I can jump topic to topic without like prior warning, and Norma knows exactly how that is and how I work sometimes. But when I was younger, I was all over the place, and I was getting referral after referral after referral after going to the vice principal and the principal's office multiple times. Finally, they said, take your son to a doctor, figure it out. Come back to us and we'll discuss everything. They took me to a doctor, gave me Adderall, fucking hated it. But then after that, I was better. Like that's my personal takeaway. And I think that it's the parents and the school administration that should be working for the child's success, not calling the cops to send them to some institute where they don't get to talk to their parents for 48 hours. That's bullshit.
I think like if you wanted to do that, then maybe each grade has a counselor anyway. So that counselor is responsible for calling the parents like, hey, this happened in school. Here's my professional recommendation for you. Take them to go see a therapist or get on meds or whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. Instead of taking a child away. I mean, can you imagine how scared she was? That has to be so terrifying.
Well, and the thing with school counselors this day too is that the counselors aren't actually counselors; they're academic counselors. So they're not there to help support the child's emotions.
No, they're a joke. I mean, even in high school, when we were in high school in 2010, I never went to the counselor because it was a waste of your time. Like, they're a joke, you know?
Yeah,
I had the reverse experience.
I could have figured out everything my teacher told me, or counselor told me without even walking in there.
But I think that's a testament to show, like, where they spend their time. Like, if there's a counselor that is really genuinely there for you as a resource, as a safe space, then that should be an option. But mental health, like Alan was saying earlier, is such a joke. It's not taken seriously, at a school level or even an adult level. Like, think about how we grew up. When I was 15 years old, I was having night terrors because I was trying to process something that happened to me when I was younger. My mom took me to a priest. Had she just taken me to therapy,
See, so
it would have been different.
So when I would say probably around 4th grade, I started having issues with ADHD, and they took me, I was lucky enough to get signed up into a study. So I saw a psychiatrist once a week and talked to, and man, I remember Ritalin, and yeah, I guess I was able to work through it, and I had that helping me, and without that, I don't think I would have made it through it.
You had parents that were dedicated to you too.
The only time that I ever saw a therapist was 2 times. The first time to get Adderall, the other time to switch me from Adderall to...
See, Adderall's just meth.
Basically. Fucking hated it. I was like a shell of who I was when I was on it.
No, Ritalin, it was just like numb. You're just numb. You're there. Mentally,
so
physically.
awful. Instead of teaching like coping mechanisms, or you just drug up your kid.
I had to learn that on my own. Like, I have my own like mechanisms. Like, I pop my fingers when we're recording, or my elbow, or I do something. But I mean, it takes time.
And I think it's great that we, as millennials and soon to be, well, some of us, maybe eventually, parents, we're going to recognize these signs and symptoms in our children, and we're going to be able to get them the help that they need and slowly start making that change.
But I also think that we're a lot more aware of what goes into it. You think about when I was little, it was like Dr. Pepper every day, sugar, everything was sugar. Like, I wouldn't do that to my kid. I would monitor in their diet a little better. It was what everyone did at the time.
Yeah,
And-
it's like, here's a Lunchable and a Capri Sun, get lost.
Yeah, his was a little barrel of sugar water. Here you go.
Oh, those things are the best.
Right.
Well, and that's the point. We're going to make those changes.
Yeah.
And I love that. And I look forward to our children's future.
Yeah, going back to Baker's Law, though, so the state legislator said that they're going to provide more training to teachers.
No, they need to rewrite the law.
Yeah, it needs to completely revamped.
And I understand that law for adults, or, to older children. So, like, the kid you were talking about in Chicago, the 17-year-old, who they kind of use more or less the same law there that they have there. But he was autistic. He was, freaking out over. He was having a fit, and he just needed his mom, probably. He
needed a calm down technique.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen, kids with autism have a meltdown in the store, and I've seen people just like, okay, it's fine, we're gonna lay down together, and they calm them down. And that's all it took. That's all it took.
Or a lot of people have the counting technique. So it's 1 thing you can see, 2 things you can hear, 3 things you can smell, 4 things you can touch, and it helps them ground.
Or to put it in like a kind of TV show aspect, do you remember Craig from Parks and Rec?
So
yeah,
intense.
we literally just finished watching it.
Yeah. Remember towards the very end of that entire series, he was like naming things to make sure that he was calm?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah, I always had real bad anger. Like, honestly, nowadays, if they probably tested me, I'd probably be on the spectrum somewhere. Everyone tells me I'm always black and white on everything.
I'm pretty certain everyone's on the spectrum somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think so. You have a lot of empathy. You just are very smart with how you show it.
Once he makes a decision about something, it's pretty impossible to get him off of that.
it makes me think of, how differently we were all raised, but we all have kind of similar stories when it comes to either mental health or behavior or, things of that nature, and how it was so taboo then. And then now they're forcing these kids to mental asylums, arresting them and taking them there for 72 hours. It's just like, this is going to impact them for how they grew up. Look at how we grew up. Like, we're working through, like, some barriers, either by therapy or, by talking with our partners or whatever the case is. And these kids are going to have so much trauma to work through.
It's sad.
Yeah, like that little girl, when her mom was interviewing the next day, or when she got her back, she goes, my daughter's not the same. Like, this has changed my daughter for the rest of her life. There's no going back.
It sounds like it's broken her.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what would happen to me, I'd be a completely different person. Completely. I do not want to imagine the kind of person I would be if, instead of the principal saying, hey, let's get your parents in here, let's figure this shit out, if he just goes, all right, we're calling the cops, take him away, get him out of the school, I would not be the same person.
You know what else changes you?
What?
Not wrapping it.
What?
Gross.
Better wrap it before
up.
you tap it. Hey.
Yeah.
This is a PSA from the Naked Podcast.
Yeah, use a condom.
Wrap your willy. Don't be silly.
Don't have children at a young age and emotionally scar them.
I mean, I think I'm doing pretty good.
I think that's also going to be moving forward
Mm-hmm.
with our generation. I think we were a lot more aware of how we're going to affect the children. And, like, we've waited. Most people that we know are waiting, in their mid-20s and stuff before they're having kids. Where before, you think of our parents. My parents, by the age of 25, my parents already had 3 kids. So,
Yeah, I can't imagine that.
Yeah.
That sounds like a nightmare.
My mom was 16 and pregnant.
My mom had my oldest sister Liz when she was like 19, 20.
So I think us waiting until we're a little older and we are a little more mentally health-wise in better positions,
Stable.
that when we have kids, we can be more focused on them. We have more knowledge. We're a little more set up than I think past generations were.
I agree with that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. At least we're not ignoring, like, people who went to war and completely denying them mental health.
Oh, wait, we
did
are.
that. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
But you can hear about that on another episode of the Naked Podcast.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Bye. Oh, we have our website.
Oh.
It's live. www.officialmillennials.com.
What?
This is an Official Millennials production.